welcome to my kitchen. I hope you're having a really good week. This week, we're gonna make this. Doesn't this look yummy? Are you excited? This is mashed bananas. We're not making that. Well, we are kind of making that. We needed to mash these so that we could make banana bread. I feel like I've been on a real sort of, like Jason's laughing at me over there at the mushy bananas.
I'm excited, but that's gross.
So I'm really excited. I feel like I've been on a baking kick lately. Maybe it's just the times that we're in, but also probably because since going gluten-free, we've been real conscious about what we are eating, what we're buying from the store, prepackaged stuff, all of that jazz. I'm still using butter, I'm still using sugar, all of those things, but we're making almost all of our treats at home from scratch now, and I just feel like that makes a big difference in terms of what you're putting in your body. And of course, we're gluten-free, so it's much more helpful to do things at home. So we're making banana bread today, and I love banana bread. I don't really know anybody who doesn't love banana bread. If you're out there, let me know. I would like to meet you and find out why. Maybe we can fix that problem. Or maybe you just don't like bananas. But if you are in the camp that does like banana bread, I've got a really simple, very easy, straightforward banana bread recipe for you today. I make a couple different kinds of banana bread, but this is the old school, old-fashioned, straight to the point banana bread recipe that we're gonna do today, okay? Real easy, you've got everything in your pantry right now, as long as you have bananas. So we're gonna get started. I have 1 stick of softened butter, as usual, into the mixer, and we're gonna get that started on our stir speed. And we'll get rid of the trash. So we're gonna go in with brown sugar and granulated sugar. I have 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar and I have a 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. There are tons of different ways, variations, combinations, methods that you can do sugar in your banana bread. This is the combo that I like. It's the one that my grandma did. It's the one that I've always done in just this basic old-fashioned banana bread. So 2/3 of a cup of firmly packed brown sugar and 1/2 of a cup of granulated sugar. And we're gonna get that into the butter and we're going to cream that together. I just don't know why we didn't come up with a word better than that for mixing butter and sugar. So you do want to let this go just a bit, okay? I'm gonna let it go for, a couple minutes. I want this sugar to get into the butter perfectly. So we're gonna let that go a minute. So let's talk about our dry ingredients. We have a couple more things to add to that, but let's talk about the dry ingredients while we're letting that mix. So as always, I've got my trusty recipe over here. I always follow recipes when we're baking because again, it is science and we need to follow the directions. So we've got 1 3/4 cup of flour. I use gluten-free flour. You can use all-purpose flour. Just use the cup for cup if you're using gluten-free and it will turn out perfectly just about every time, honestly. So 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Then we have a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 2 teaspoons baking powder, and then I have a teaspoon of cinnamon. I didn't sift this together, so I'm going to whisk it and check our sugar out here. All right, I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna lift the paddle. I'm gonna just give it a little zhuzh. Okay, so we've got that all checked. I'm going to lock and load, get that going and stirring some more. Just really wanna get that sugar into the butter so it's nice and creamed together. All right, so like I said, we've got our dry ingredients here. I've whisked them together, I didn't sift. And then I'm gonna do walnuts in this. You do not have to put nuts in your banana bread. We're going old school. I just feel like we need some walnuts today. 1/2 cup is good. I happen to have this in my pantry. These are so convenient. This is a 1 cup measure. So, I'm gonna do about half. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the nuts into my flour mixture. If you do a little whisk of the nuts into the flour before you batter it up, it does sort of help the nuts kind of float in the batter and not sort of settle or to the bottom or rise to the top. I learned that on Barefoot Contessa. right, that's looking really good. So as you notice, I have my bananas already ready. I've got my flour already ready. My eggs are sitting out here. My butter was at room temperature. It's really, really important if you can to bring your items when you're baking to room temperature if possible. Good little tip for you. All right, so we've got that going on in there. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and mix in 2 eggs, one at a time. Let them incorporate. So we've got 1 in there. Add in the second one. And then we're gonna do a teaspoon of our favorite delicious vanilla. Right in. And then, make sure this is nice and mixed. Turn that down. I'm just gonna scrape the sides because I did have it up a little high. The vanilla splattered just a little, so make sure that's all in. Scrape my spatula off. Do you say spatula or spatular? What do you say? All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put in this mashed up banana. Now I've got 4 bananas, like I said at the beginning, and they're fairly ripe, really ripe I should say, but not rotten. There is a point where those bananas are no longer edible, okay? All right, so we've got 4 of those in there. We're gonna give it a stir, and I'm just gonna stir it together. Really, I'm not even gonna stir it together. I'm just gonna let it sort of get combined a little bit, and then I'm gonna stop, okay? We do not want to over stir the banana bread. One thing that banana bread can do is it can definitely get tough, or it can get, the texture of it can get almost even mealy tasting. Don't over stir your batter. Hey guys, I do want to point out that this is super important if you're using all-purpose flour, but if you're using gluten-free flour, then you're going to want to make sure that you mix it up really well. It gets tough if you have gluten in it. It won't do that if you're using gluten-free flour. Okay, so now we're gonna do, oh, I wanted to tell you, so if you wanted to freeze this banana bread, so if you have a bunch of bananas that you want to use up, and you wanted to make several batches of this and you were going to freeze it, add in 1/2 cup of sour cream, and that will really keep it tender and moist in the freezer. Don't do that if you're not going to freeze it though, okay? All right, so now we're going to start very slowly putting this in, and as soon as it's combined, I'm going to stop mixing. Don't want to overmix this. All right, it's together, so I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to scrape off the batter from the paddle. Now it's really not totally mixed yet. I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to give it a little bit more of a mix just to make sure it's all incorporated. We don't want to overwork this, so I'm going to scrape down straight down the side of the bowl on all sides all the way around, and then I'm going to fold everything together. So down the middle, and then fold. Down the middle, and then fold. Let's just make sure all of the things are well incorporated. And then we're gonna leave her alone. Now it probably looks, because you probably can't see what I'm doing, probably looks like I'm really mixing it, but I'm mostly going around the sides and then bringing it through the middle. Just a nice fold, okay? That is perfect. Now, I'm gonna get my pan. I've got a loaf pan greased up. Oven's on at 350 degrees. We are going to cook this. Let me make sure. I usually say 60 minutes. Yes, so we're gonna cook it for about an hour. Depending on your oven, go ahead and check it at like 55 minutes or so, and then check it every 5 minutes after that. If it starts to seem like it's getting real close, and then switch that around and check it every 2 minutes, all right? Oh my gosh, it's gonna smell so good in